Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to walk you through your first laser engraver project. To do that, we use a program called Adobe Illustrator. It will be found under the Windows icon, Adobe Master Collection, and then all the way down here, Adobe Illustrator 64-bit. So you're going to click on that, open it up, and you should see something like this without a document. So you're going to go to File, New, and it's really important you follow these next few steps. So you want to change your units here to inches, your width to 24, and your height to 18. This is the size dimensions of the laser engraver. So typically I always start with that. Even if my projects are going to be smaller, I just know how much size it's going to take up on there and if it'll fit or not. Additionally, you must go to Advanced and change your color mode to RGB for this to work. The laser engraver program operates in a certain color mode, so we need to make sure we match that. Then click OK. You should have a document like this. To start out, I'm going to just go over the shape tool. You're going to go over here. Right now it's on ellipse, but it has this lower triangle in the corner. And so if I click on that, there's alternate tools in there. I'm going to go to rounded rectangle, and I'm just going to click. And now I can type in the dimensions instead of clicking and holding. So the width I want of 2.5 inches, the height I want 1 inch, and then the corner radius of 0.25, and OK. So that appeared where you clicked. What I do is I like to take the center point here and match it up with the center point of my workspace here. That makes it easy for me to go Control plus and zoom in on it, Control minus, and then Control 0 is all the way out so that this fits in the screen. Those are just some hotkeys that you should be familiar with. From here, I want to zoom in, and I want to change this to what's called a true red outline so that the laser engraver knows to cut this part out. We're just going to be making a basic keychain here. Follow the steps that I'm doing for your first project, and then your second project you're going to make your own to whatever hobby or interest that you have. So here I'm going to click on this. Here's my fill color. I'm going to keep that white or none so that things can show through. Then my outline color, I need it to be true red. The only problem is I don't have that color right here. So I'm going to click on white, and then new swatch will be available. If it's on none, that's not available. So any color, and this will be available. But if it's not, you need to change it to just something so it appears. So new swatch, I'm going to crank red all the way up to 255, green all the way down, and blue all the way down. This is what we call true red. And OK. Then I'm going to adjust the thickness of this to what's called a hairline. It's very, very small. It's 0.001. And that is code for the laser engraver program to cut. So it's going to cut this out. From there, I'm going to go to an ellipse, and I'm just going to kind of click and drag, and you see this distort. If I hold shift, it makes it a perfect circle with the same aspect ratio. From here, I'm going to change the size by using the width and height dimensions. You see they're the same because I held shift. If I unlock this, it will only change one of the dimensions. If I have it locked, it'll change them accordingly and keep the contrast. Why don't you make this 0.13 by 0.13? And then I'm going to hover over here, find my center point, and then bring it over here so that I have just a little bit of space, enough to have a solid connection, but it's not too far in. Like that's too much. I would go something right about there. And once again, to double check, that is true red, 0.001. Okay, moving on. We're going to import a file. And to do that, you're going to go to the Google Classroom. and the file here is WRAI2. You're going to click on that. For some reason, they don't let you download directly from Google Classroom. I don't know what's up with that, but to get around it, we figured out you can go to More Actions, open in a new window, and now you can download it. So click Download, go back to Adobe here, and go File, Open. You're going to go to your downloads here. You're going to see the WRAI. You're going to click Open. Oh, I already have it opened over here, so it just reopened it. And then you're going to highlight all this. You're going to hit Control C for copy, and you're going to go back to your keychain and hit Control V for paste. You see that this is way too large for our keychain. I'm just going to hit Control 0 so I can zoom out. And this is 8 inches by about 6. So I'm going to trim that down. I know my height is 1, so I could type in maybe 0.8, making sure this is locked right here. And it looks like a healthy fit now. So I'm going to just kind of re-highlight all that. Shift to unselect this. I'm just going to go and move this over here now, keeping it centered. And so the WR is kind of aligned with the middle of this right here. It goes past the cutout, but it doesn't touch it at all. From there, I want to select the red, and I'm going to hold Shift and select the other red part. And I'm going to turn that to what's called a true black, all right? So here's a range of blacks and grayscales. I'm going to make a new one and call it True Black. I'm going to crank these all the way down. So the way the laser engraver program works is the darker the color, the deeper the burn. So if we turn these all the way down, that's the richest black that we can get, meaning the deepest burn. Additionally, I'm going to select these outlines right here. Click on that one and Shift. Click on that one and change that to True Black as well. From there, I want to outline it in what's called True Blue. That does what's called a vector emboss. So it'll engrave and raster burn this the black in, and then it'll come back around with the blue outline and just kind of trim it around the corners and kind of make it pop. It's a really good feature, but that's why we're doing this, is because you kind of have to see it to know what it does. So I'm going to just click on this, and instead of holding Shift and selecting this one and this one and this one and messing up, or say I have like 500 things to select, I'm just going to show you a way around that. So I click on the color that I want to select, and I go Select, Same, Fill Color. You could use any of these, but fill color is what we're going to use for this one. And so now it's selected all those blacks. I'm going to go to Outline, and I can't get a new swatch here. It's because I'm on nothing. So I'm going to just click on white. Now I can activate new swatch. And once again, I'm going to do what's called True Blue. Turn red down, green down, and it has to be 00255. It can't be 254, or there can't be a 1 in here. It has to be 00255. And OK. And then I have to bring that down to a hairline again, which is 0.001. Now that should come back around and vector engrave that. Next, I'm going to use the text tool. Just going to kind of click and drag a text box into here. We'll edit it a little bit later. And I'm going to type Lincoln High. Highlight that, and I'm going to kind of center it. And then I'm going to change my font to something just a little thicker here. We'll go Arial, change it to a bold, and then I'm just going to crank this up until it's too far and go back one. And then here's your center point, but that's not aligned with this, so I'm just going to kind of drop that down so it's kind of aligned. Feel free to use your arrows to bounce that around. And once again, I'm going to outline this in what's called a true blue and a hairline 0.001. Enter. So here's my keychain. This should be good. From here, I'm going to go to File, Print, uncheck Auto Rotate, and I'm going to first select the printer, the VLS 4.6. That's the laser system. So click that, Auto Rotate off. This is now a little distorted, so I'm just going to click Print. And if I go back to Print again, this is now changed to the actual laser bed. So sometimes you just have to go through it once to get it kind of acclimated, and then Print. So I printed it and nothing really happens. Well, I have to go down here to the caret and up to the laser system. Click on that, and I notice my keychain is now in here. If the letters are surrounded by blue, it means it's going to do the vector engrave. And then if this is actually showing up red, it's going to do a vector emboss. A few projects ago, I did a miscolor, and this is what it turns out as if your red's off. So my red was just a little off. This one was fine, but it showed it up as a real thin black dotted line. That's not going to cut. So just to double check all your stuff, if it turns out red in here, it's for sure going to cut on the laser. And if it turns out blue, it's for sure going to do the vector engrave. So just to kind of double check all that. If you are here, you are good to go, and then you're good to move on to the next video and set up your materials and export it to a flash drive. When you're done with that, I will give you a demo on how to cut. So we're almost there. Good luck.